Welcome back, everyone, to today's explainer for FAR210, Topic 6. Go ahead and grab your favorite highlighters, pull up your digital notebooks, and let's get right into it. Today, we are talking all about receivables. Now, to make this super fun and easy to visualize, I want you to picture a gorgeous, pastel-themed bakery. Just imagine the smell of fresh cupcakes and warm bread in the oven. Okay, now imagine running that bakery, and you decide to let your absolute best, most loyal customers take those boxes of cupcakes today, but they don't actually have to pay you until next week. Well, that right there is the very heart of what we're studying today, so let's dive in. Here is our game plan for today's lesson. We'll start with a welcome to Topic 6, then figure out what receivables actually are, tackle the credit dilemma, dive into recognition and measurement, handle those pesky bad debts, and wrap it all up with some crucial exam tips and a summary.
All right, Section 1, welcome to Topic 6, why receivables matter.
So you might be wondering, why do we even care about receivables? I mean, why dedicate a whole entire topic to money we haven't even collected yet? Well, information on receivables is absolutely vital for decision-making. Think back to our pastel bakery. The owners, the investors, they all need this data to assess exactly how efficiently the bakery is managing those customer tabs. But most importantly, it all comes down to business liquidity and the cash cycle. Tracking these receivables ensures our cute little bakery has enough actual, spendable cash flowing in so we can buy flour, pay our hardworking bakers, and actually survive to bake another day.
Moving right along to Section 2, what are receivables? Defining the debts.
Let's look at the official accounting definition. According to MFRS 132, a financial asset, which includes our receivables, is a contractual right to receive cash or another financial asset from another entity. So the absolute key word you need to underline here is contractual. This means there's an agreement with clear economic consequences that the parties pretty much can't avoid. Even if it's just an unspoken, unwritten rule at our bakery when you hand over that box of pastries, if it's enforceable by law, it is a contract. Now, look at how we categorize these claims, because this is super important. We have trade receivables. These are the amounts owed by customers from our ordinary, everyday cake sales on credit. Then we have notes or bills receivables, which are a bit different. They involve formal, written instruments of credit issued as actual proof of debt. And finally, we have other receivables. These pop up from things outside our ordinary course of business. So, for example, if our bakery gives a quick loan to an employee, or maybe we have interest or dividend receivables, those fall strictly under other or non-trade receivables. That brings us to Section 3, the credit dilemma. To give credit or not? If giving customers extra time to pay means we might not have cash right this second, why even take the risk? Well, it's a classic balancing act. On the benefit side of things, offering credit can seriously boost our sales and build beautiful customer loyalty because, we're showing them we trust them. Plus, it helps us stay competitive. But on the cost side, there are some harsh realities. We actually have to investigate their creditworthiness, we take on additional admin costs just chasing down payments, and of course, our immediate cash flow takes a hit. And that dip in cash, that could force us to pause any big expansion plans for the bakery. So, how do businesses manage this dilemma without going broke? They use an aging report. You can think of this as our ultimate early warning system. It's a handy analytical tool that determines the overall financial health of our customer base, as well as their credit risk. It tells us point blank how efficiently our bakery is at collecting its debts. And crucially, if this report flags a particular receivable as being collected way slower than usual, it's a huge red flag signaling that the customer's business might be facing some major financial difficulties. Okay, on to Section 4, recognition and measurement. Making it official. We know why we have receivables, but how do we officially lock them into our accounting books? Under MFRS 9, we follow some very specific recognition rules. Basically, an entity needs to recognize a receivable when, and literally only when, the entity becomes a party to the contractual provision of the instrument. It's that exact moment our bakery gains that legally binding right to receive cash under conditions that are, hopefully, favorable to us. Listen up, because for your exams, you absolutely must remember these two recognition criteria. To meet the elements of an asset in the statement of financial position, it has to be relevant. This means it satisfies the basic definition of an asset with a really high potential of future economic benefit flowing straight into our bakery's cash register. Second, it must have faithful representation, meaning the measurement of the money is certain and it's totally evidenced by that agreed-upon contract. We love our customers, we really do. But we have to face facts. What happens when that incredibly loyal customer, the one who buys 3 dozen cupcakes every single Friday, suddenly closes down their business and can't pay their tab? Which leads us to Section 5, Handling Bad Debts, Subsequent Measurement. In accounting terms, we deal with these uncollectible accounts through something called subsequent measurement. Following the MFRS 9 guidelines, financial assets, which includes our receivables, generally have to be measured at either fair value or at amortized costs. However, MFRS 9 does give us a little leeway, stating that in limited circumstances, cost is an appropriate estimate of fair value. Like, for example, when recently available information just isn't sufficient, or if the cost honestly represents the best estimate within a wide range of possible fair values. When customers flat out can't pay, we face an impairment of financial assets. Now, you might hear this called a few different things: a bad debt provision, a loss allowance, or quite often in your exam questions, the allowance for impairment of trade receivables, often abbreviated as AFITR. I want you to think of this allowance as our financial umbrella. We set it up proactively on a bright sunny day because we know that eventually a rainy day will come and someone is going to fail to pay their bill. It's how we prevent our bakery's profits from looking unrealistically high. Let's see how this all builds mathematically by walking through example 7 from your notes. We start out with a brought down balance of our allowance, so our starting umbrella at 10,400 ringgit. Then a confirmed bad debt happens, so we have to deduct, or write off, 2,800. But wait, what's this? A past customer suddenly pays us back out of nowhere, so we add in a bad debt recovered of 4,500. Finally, at year-end, we determine our required carried-down balance needs to sit at exactly 9,800. To get our math to perfectly balance out from the subtotal down to 9,800, we need to recognize a decrease in the loss allowance of 2,300, which flows straight to our statement of profit or loss. And right here is how that exact same math translates beautifully into T accounts. Just look at the credit side for a second. There is our starting balance of 10,400, and right below it, our bad debt recovered of 4,500. Over on the debit side, we reduce the allowance by the 2,800 that we had to write off. To make the balancing figure of 9,800 match perfectly at the bottom, we record that 2,300 decrease in loss allowance on the debit side. Seriously, walking through the T account just like it's a story is absolutely the best way to master this for your tests. Almost at the finish line, Section 6, Exam Tips and Summary, Acing FAR210. Let's wrap up this lesson with some key summary points so you can absolutely crush your FAR210 assessments. Here are the most common mistakes students make. Number 1, mixing up trade versus other receivables. Remember, trade is for the ordinary business, like selling the cakes. A loan to an employee, that is strictly other. Second, for theory questions, you have to specifically state that MFRS 9 recognition requires becoming a party to a contractual provision. Third, practice those impairment T accounts until you can literally do them in your sleep. Watch your debit and credit movements very closely. And lastly, memorize the benefits and cost of offering credit. It is such a common essay or theory question. Look, at the end of the day, accounting isn't just about memorizing a bunch of boring rules. It's simply telling the story of a business, just like our little pastel bakery, using numbers. Behind every single receivable is a real customer, a real transaction, and a business that's just trying to thrive. Keep practicing those journal entries and T accounts, and I promise it will all click into place. You've totally got this. I want to leave you with this core thought from your notes. The main concern is whether the stated outstanding amount of accounts receivable can be collected eventually or not. Remember, every asset on your balance sheet is basically just a promise for the future. But in the real world of business, what is a promise really worth if you can't collect on it? Think about that risk and get ready, because in our next explainer, we are going to explore exactly how we wipe these debts off our books entirely using derecognition criteria. I'll see you then.